Huge weekend of sports.
Huge.
We have college basketball coming down to the wire here, getting ready for March Madness and March Sadness for some people. Conference tournaments coming up. We already have some mid-major conferences going. The NFL Combine, obviously some news in college football as well. We're taking your calls, and we got Brett Favre's lawyer on today. It's a
that's true, yeah.
But before we go any further, got to give a shout-out to our boss, our friend, our confidant, Jeremy Willy Wonka Boring.
Oh, yes.
After starting the Daily Jeremy's Chocolate.
We sell chocolate now.
We sell chocolate now.
We sell chocolate.
This weekend, we did not sell chocolate. Going in this weekend, we did not sell chocolate. Now we sell chocolate. I hate Hershey's.com.
I hate Hershey's.com.
I hate Hershey's.com.
He, him.
Dude, that's hilarious.
One has nuts.
If you haven't heard, there's two different chocolate bars. The She, Her, which doesn't have any nuts, you know, the old-fashioned way. And then He, Him, which, surprise, surprise, has nuts. Like Jeremy says, if you don't know which one you are, you should probably just keep buying Hershey's then. That was my favorite puzzle. Again, isn't it so, there's so many people, we always talk about, instead of just complaining, why don't you complain and have solutions?
Boom.
Right?
That's this company.
That's this company. And it's just fun. It's fun to work in a place that can do things like that, number one, that has the ability to do things like that. But number two, that will do something like that. I think that speaks to, you know, giving an alternative to people who don't want to fall into this crazy echo chamber of anything is anything. It's Rainbow Land. It's Rainbow Land, and what's the South Park episode, Blaine? Where they go, and it's like the cartoon episode where they get on like the hot air balloon and there's a terrorist attack. And there's like the different characters. It's like Peter.
Oh, with Michael Bay? when Michael Bay, when they had the portal.
I'm trying to remember. In the chat, they know what it's called. It's not Rainbow Land. Rainbow Land's from the campaign. It's something else.
I'm not going. And you can't make it.
Exactly
I'll find it.
We'll find it. The land of imagination.
Yeah, that's
like what?
it, yeah.
Imagination Land.
Yeah, Imagination Land.
Imagination Land. That's if you have not seen Imagination Land on South Park, that is where we're heading. But make sure you go to IHateHershey's.com and find a chocolate bar.
I just feel like the commercial could have used a dragon.
Look, the commercial
there. You got to sell the normal ones first.
You got to sell the normal ones, then you get Flaming Dragon chocolate.
Do you though? Who said that? Who said you have to sell the normal ones first?
Willy Wonka said that.
Oh, Willy Wonka.
You never read his biography, his autobiography?
We've talked about the true story.
You haven't heard Willy
Wonka? The true story of Willy Wonka.
You haven't heard his autobiographical book he wrote? Fudge Me? You haven't heard that one?
I didn't.
You need to look it up. It's great. It's in your local library.
I'll be on my first book list. I'll go look it up on Amazon.
It needs to be that.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Ben Shapiro and his dad, baseball.
I got that right here.
Someone said, I can't remember who it was on Twitter, one of the booster clubs said, we need to send out golden tickets for people to be able to go to the Matt Walsh WNBA game.
See
now the wheels are turning. I wanted to put
all of a sudden Facebook.
I wanted to
Facebook.
I wanted to start this episode with you with a cane and lay out a carpet and have you roll out.
Struggling.
All right. Well, look. Is there icy hot back there? First of all, before I start,
we'll call Shaq.
Look,
all right,
if we could somehow put you in a top hat and a cane and Willy Wonka intro you,
come on,
that would have to make the second commercial.
That's what I do for my day job on 7 Footer Island, though.
Well, I know that's what you do.
Good.
Don't do it.
We'll bump your pay if you keep doing it.
Do it for free.
All right. Don't you point that finger.
Gotta love when you point at each other. Texas Tech men's head basketball coach Mark Adams will break down the winners and losers from this year's NFL Combine. And Brett Favre's attorney, Eric Herschmann, joins us. I'm Jake Crane, and it's Monday, but we're powering through it either way. This is Crane & Company. Texas Tech head men's basketball coach Mark Adams has been suspended from his coaching duties after using quotes from the Bible to try and teach a player how to become more receptive to coaching. The player felt uncomfortable about the quote because it dealt with a reference to slavery, and now Adams is suspended. Now, there are many problems with this suspension, and it's still crazy but not surprising to see this in today's sports world. What you are seeing, however, is an anomaly. See, Christianity is the only belief, and the Bible is the only religious text. You can still suspend someone for quoting. If Mark Adams had quoted the Quran, he would probably get his own 30 for 30 and an award for his bravery. The obvious thing to see is that the player wasn't really offended by the reference in the Bible. He was offended by the referendum on his inability to be coachable. And he was embarrassed after being called out. So what's the best way to even the score against an old white man that pissed you off? Fake social outrage and racial outrage. We see it so much more nowadays, it's sickening. Not to mention the fact that this player doesn't understand the history of slavery. The sad historical fact is the act of enslaving people has been practiced by basically every race on all sides. We even had races enslaving their own race. And the fact this player does not understand who or what the Bible is referencing when talking about slavery just shines a light on how poor our education system really is right now. Now, Coach Adams isn't clean in this either. He apologized as quickly as possible. And I get it to a certain extent in today's society. He almost had to cave to be able to continue to coach. But damn, dude, you're 66. Religion has obviously been a huge part of your life. And as long as Christians keep bowing to the mob when they're called evil, our people keep getting away with being historically ignorant without being called out, it's only going to get worse. We should be able to use religious quotes or references from all mediums and shouldn't be punished because of the ignorance or softness of the one making the complaint. Now, when the morally weak and ignorant always get their way eventually becomes the only way. So shame on you, Texas Tech, and hopefully those with a platform and with the guts will help me call this out. I'm going to go and bring in my co-host, former Michigan quarterback, who I called former Michigan receiver, apparently last Friday. But
Did you?
yeah, I did. Apparently somebody let me know on Twitter. I did that as well as.
Well, you know what's
absolutely
funny about that is I used to take reps at wide receiver myself.
Well, I knew that, but they didn't. I'm just clearing the air.
You
I
were
knew
probably thinking about trying to hit the under.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, which I don't want to, rekindle that from last
Which
week.
you did.
My brother, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver and person who may get drowned after this show.
No way.
Bringing this
Can we
up.
do it during the show? Why do it after the show?
We can do it during the show.
I heard he's a great swimmer.
I'm here for I can tread. Water.
With your legs, not with your face.
How do you
when
know?
it's underwater?
How do you know?
Because that would be crazy.
It's actually how I swim, with my face.
Wow.
I have gills in my legs.
Man,
You have gills in your legs?
Yeah.
real water world.
That is
situation.
crazy. But kind of back to stuff that's really going on in the real world. David, how surprised, I don't think surprised is the right word. Where do you think we're at in society right now in sports? Because when it comes to religion, because there's no way you could have done this against any other religion.
Sure.
Outside of Christianity. You look at what's happening in the Catholics right now. I mean, it's a crazy time for Christians, to be honest with you.
On this story here, I would like to know exactly what was said.
Yeah.
Verbatim, not just generalizations that came out. I want to know exactly what was said in the context in which it was said, because you could have several different scenarios here. One, you could have a situation where Texas Tech's coach said something that was inappropriate and the feelings of the player are genuine, and perhaps he's trying to hide behind scripture after the fact. You could have a situation like that. Two, you could have a situation kind of like you outlined where you have a young kid who doesn't want to be disciplined, like a lot of them these days in this generation, who doesn't want to get coached up at all, and the statement from coach was fairly innocuous. You could have that. Or you could have a situation where Texas Tech has already put Coach Adams kind of on the hot seat or wanted to move on maybe with some of the powers that be, and they're looking for a reason to fire. I heard that if they can fire him with cause, that buyout goes down $7 million. If that's a situation, there needs to be a serious lawsuit. That's why I want to know exactly what was said. And one more thing that I thought was interesting, and this came out from The Score. It said there was another incident involving the player, this same player, earlier this season, where Adams spit on him during a game, and Adams reportedly told the player, "I can spit on you whenever I want." That was another situation when I was looking up some of the details from this one that emerged. I don't know what kind of Coach Adams is, but I want to know exactly what was said.
The reason this guy got the job is because the players wanted him to get the job so bad. He wasn't the first choice for the Texas Tech admin. They hired him because nobody was happier than the players were when Coach Adams got hired. And when you look into it, he's talking about referencing scripture from the Bible. From the Bible. I don't think he looked at this guy and said, "You need to listen to me because you're my slave." That's that. He referenced the Bible. But But again, name another religion. If this coach would have not been a white guy, let's go ahead and be honest. If he wouldn't have been a white guy and would have referenced the Quran if he was Islamic, there's not he could have said, burn down America, death to America, and everything you want. There would have been no suspension. No suspension at all. I know the type player that this is. I've coached this type player. You guys out there know the type player this is too. We all know him. The one that gets called out because he's not performing or he did something off the field and he wants a way to get back at the coach. And this is the second time with the same player there's been something?
It said this player.
Okay. Well, there's a common denominator in all. If this was such a problem with Coach Adams and he was this racist monster, why is this only one player? Why have more players not come out and said, we need to get rid of Coach Adams, we need to do this and we need to do that? Now, on the other hand, where you're talking about Texas Tech, if they use this as a way to be able to save money by putting him on blast that way, that's an absolute joke. But that wouldn't be the first time that that's happened. And that's something when you look at, I mean, schools are always trying to find ways to fire guys with cause because you save money. Jeremy Pruitt, not saying this is the same situation at all. He deserved to be fired with cause. Tennessee saved a lot of money. So we'll see. All I know is there's one very narrow path that you could get suspended for quoting a religious text. That is the Bible. You could not get away with any other book in religion. It could be you think they're going to suspend him for quoting the Book of Mormon or something like that? Man, hell no.
It just depends on what is. Look, I'm not a super religious person, all right, but no matter the scripture, there's certain things you shouldn't say out of any holy book, whether it's the Bible or whatever else there is. If we find out what was exactly what was said, until then, I don't really know how you can have an input on it if you don't know exactly what was said.
Yeah,
but if there's anything, regardless, that was anything close to slavery, then he should be fired.
If he just said the word slavery?
No, if they said that this kid was, you're my slave, and you basically go back.
He didn't say you're my slave.
If that's how do you know exactly what he said?
What he said? Yes, because if he said you're my slave, he'd already been fired.
Well,
he already said he could spit on a kid. Don't you think he'd already be fired for that?
How do you know he said that?
How do you know he didn't say that?
I said allegedly.
If he said, okay, well, think about context. Do you think maybe he was yelling at the guy and spit on the guy accidentally talking, and the guy was like, hey, coach, don't spit on me, you're yelling at me. He's like, I can spit when I talk whenever I'm talking to you. And
spit on you, not spit when I talk. That's not what he said. That's not what he said. He said, I can spit on you whenever I want.
He said Adams was encouraging a player to be more receptive to coaching and referenced a Bible verse about workers, teachers,
masters, and
slaves serving their masters.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
One of them I saw had the word servant. One of them had the word slave. Again, I don't know.
So you don't know.
Everything's on video these days.
So you don't know. It depends on what the video says. But why would you use a scripture that has mastery and slavery in it?
Every scripture of all, again,
no,
wasn't the smartest? You're right, Blake, because you're so read up on religious scripture.
You're not either.
A lot more than you are.
I don't think so.
A lot more. You couldn't name four.
I don't think so.
Name 4 different religious books.
Why? You name 4.
The Quran, the Torah,
no,
the
read
Bible.
Scriptures. Read the scriptures out of them.
I'm just saying name a book.
What do you know? You're talking about scriptures. They're not naming the book.
Name 4 of them.
But still, there's plenty of scriptures in the Bible.
So
whatever
you can't reference the Bible.
That you can. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
there's certain scriptures you shouldn't reference out of the Bible.
So
like the one that says, "My brother John touches the pigskin, he should be burned at the stake." Should every football player be burned at the stake?
So you can't, but what we're saying is, if you're saying you can't reference the Bible at all because the word slavery is in the Bible, and you think that they're talking about that slavery, George Washington wasn't getting talked about in the Bible.
I'm saying there's certain scriptures out of every holy book that you probably shouldn't reference in certain situations. Anything that has to do with mastery and slavery to probably an African-American kid on a basketball team, probably not the best scripture to use.
This is why you made the best point. What do the other players on the team, what are the other guys
none of the other players have said anything.
Are they going to come out and defend Coach Adams, or are they going to come out and say, yeah, I mean, look, the other kid was right to be upset? That's going to be a deciding
And again,
factor.
I think you would have already heard about the other players. This would have already been a problem. What are the odds that it's the same problem from one guy? What was it the smartest decision ever? No. But what I'm pointing out is the hypocrisy of if you took a similar scripture out of any other religious book that was not the Bible or anything to do with Christianity, there would be no repercussion. There would be none at all. But since it's out of the Bible And yet, was it the best scripture to pull? Probably not. But the fact that that person would think that the coach is calling him a slave when it's not even talking about black people being enslaved. The Bible wasn't written, this isn't the 1619 project. Like, the Bible wasn't written back then. And the fact that this person can't discern the difference from that worries me more than anything, if you want to be honest. Because that's just called being dumb, if you want to.
I just don't know how we know that if we don't know what was said.
Wait a minute. You don't know that he's not talking about African Americans that were enslaved in the Bible?
No, we don't know what was said from that coach to that player. When you just referenced, if that dude said he could spit on anybody whenever he wants to, then we really be surprised if he said something like that.
Do you really think he would have said that to an African American player in the year 2023, earlier in the year, and not have gotten suspended for it? Do you really believe that? Are you that naive to believe that?
It depends. Is he going to get away with this? Like, what exactly? How do you know? How do you know? Are you the administration?
What do you mean is he going to get away with this?
I just watch a kid bring someone a gun.
He's already suspended.
Right, in a murder case, and then play the rest of the season.
He's already
Am I going to be surprised?
He's already suspended. What do you mean is he going to have to pay for this?
Well,
they would suspend him for this and not for spitting on an African American.
Why? I just don't understand. I just don't think it was smart to use the scripture.
Nobody is arguing whether it was smart or not. What we're talking about is the repercussion of the action and how it's only narrow focused on the Christianity angle. Nobody is saying that he's goodwill hunting for doing this or it was the greatest coaching move. So in my opinion, I wouldn't even have referenced anything. But that doesn't mean that you should be suspended.
So you don't think if this was any other holy book and he said the exact same thing, there'd be no.
I think if you wanted a white guy, this wouldn't have been a problem.
Is he going to get fired?
That's a question I do not know.
Blaine, what do you think?
I don't know. I have to figure out what was said first. Once we figure out what was said,
I think then
we can probably go to the next step of this.
No, we'll keep covering it. But speaking about covering it, if you want to get that old energy back, if you want to get that old body back, text CRAIN, C-R-A-I-N, to 231-231 for a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Text now and you'll also get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Thermo, their most powerful fat incinerator ever. Absolutely free. That's C-R-A-I-N, not spelled like the bird, to 231-231. That's C-R-A-I-N to 231-231. Nugenix Total T, you want to hit home runs like Frank Thomas and be able to, be short and throw the ball like Doug Flutie? Nugenix Total T, let's be honest.
Will you say most powerful fat incinerator again?
You want to know why? Because that fat is out of here, baby. God, I love that
incinerator.
Every time I see that ad before the show, I get excited so I can use that heavyweights reference.
Golly, what a phrase.
Nugenix Total T.
We doing this?
Yeah, you can see like Blaine's takes a bottle a day.
Look at that, huh?
Blaine just
500
takes the bottle in the morning
Blaine.
instead of the pill. He just eats the bottle
The kitchen's
with a glass of skim milk.
2% close. Let's go to Jimbo Eagle with a $10 donation. Appreciate it, Jimbo. Hope you had a good weekend, man. Question for Crane and Co. Did you guys happen to see that USA Powerlifting is being forced to allow men to compete in women's divisions?
Yes.
According to a recent court ruling. How do we stop this?
We did see it.
Well, Kansas has stopped it. Again, men. Just men out there. Males. Stop. This doesn't make you look cool. This makes you look lame. You're competing against girls. That should be enough. There should be no court order or anything that stops this. It should be pure embarrassment that stops this. It should be pure embarrassment from the person that's competing against the biological women to the parents of the person that's competing. I blame y'all too. I blame y'all as well. I don't care if you're gay, straight, trans, or that thing where you like to put silk on pretzels. All I'm saying is when it comes down to competing for sports, lifting, running, jumping, are y'all not embarrassed? Does this not embarrass y'all? Even deep down when y'all are by yourselves doing God knows whatever y'all do? Does this not just embarrass you to think I'm so ready for the game today, coach. I'm gonna go out here and compete against these women. I just can't imagine getting fired up for that. As much as you can mentally warp your mind to think of a way, deep down, every time you get that deadlift record, you're like, oh, I'm killing these chicks. I'm just out here dominating them. Like, how embarrassing for you. But it should be a federal law. It's just embarrassing that we have to make a federal law for these dudes out here that just want to beat girls at sports.
I mean, if you're the other countries, what are you thinking?
How is this a problem? Like, evolution. We've evolved to the point now we're out of the food chain. I can get in a plane and go anywhere I want. But yet, men
That's
want
the
to
problem. Life's too easy. We didn't have these problems when you had to like hunt down your food every day. When you woke up in the morning and you didn't know where your dinner was coming from, you didn't have a lot of time.
Yeah,
You know, part of me-
these guys got gatherers written all over.
No, part of me thinks
Written all over.
it's like, war is terrible. War is the worst. But there's silver linings in everything, I guess. And maybe one of the silver linings is you get perspective. And when you come home, like, I don't think a lot of people after World War II were coming home and some guy was like, hey, I want to take on Becky in the powerlifting thing. Everybody was like, no, you're not. Like, you're not. No, because that's not just how it works. So you're not going to do that. But it just, at some point, man, good God, are y'all not embarrassed? We need to do something.
All right, let's go to Jimbo Eagle again with a $10 donation. Appreciate it, Jimbo. He says, since May 19th is the official date in which Brittany Griner returns to the WNBA, can we definitively confirm that this will be the game Matt Walsh will be sitting courtside with the sweet baby game?
Look,
We cannot do that.
we can't. I'm getting married on
This guy's
May
getting
20th.
married the next day,
Yeah.
which means the rehearsal dinner would be the 19th,
Yeah.
which means we'll be watching Brittany Griner's debut.
Are we coming out to walkout songs?
That's-
What's the deal?
Look, I'm trying right now. It's in the process. We're in the process of doing it. I will say this. I got the rehearsal done. Rehearsal dinner taken care of. Done.
It's in the books?
It's in the books, man.
Nice.
It's in the books.
That's
It's
a headache,
big fight. That's like like my main job for the
Yeah,
wedding is
I
getting the
know.
rehearsal dinner done. Now it's done. You see that weight? Well, it's gone. It was what was on my back.
Yeah, talk about fat
It's
incinerator.
not there anymore. Yeah. You want
Weight
some eugenics
gone.
thermo tea? Go ahead and pay that deposit for the rehearsal dinner. Get that thing set up.
All right, let's go to Thomas Briscoe Jr. with the $5 donation. Appreciate it, Tommy. So if my memory serves me correctly, I believe that the scriptures in 1st or 2nd Timothy. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it's again. I just am trying to figure out why Blaine hates Christianity.
I do not. I just feel like there's a right place and time to use religion in certain aspects.
like in
If like
coaching.
2, let's be a little bit better about the scriptures we're choosing.
Again, but how can you say that without according to your logic, without knowing exactly what he said? It could be the greatest scripture ever he pulled out, and oh boy's just ass hurt for getting called out. That's what I'm saying.
For sure.
I don't think he looked at the student and was like, "Hey, guess what? I'm your master and you're my slave." I don't think that's exactly how that was said. But just because I say something in a religious context, if I'm like, "Ye who shepherds thee shall take in thine thoughts," that doesn't
fine.
that doesn't mean that I'm
feel
going
like
to
you
go
should
out there
probably
and
steer
get a
away-
bunch of goats.
Steer away from
and
the
think about it.
mastery and slavery thing, right? That's all I'm saying.
Again,
That's all I'm
nobody's saying
I'm
whether
sorry,
it
I'm
was
not coming out of
smart
left
or
field
not.
with that.
What we're saying is whether it's worth being suspended over. That's the question.
Yeah, it goes back to exactly what you said, right?
Yeah.
Matty Ice, 1994. Who's the UFC GOAT? John Jones or the Field? I'm going to turn that into a poll.
So
Okay.
if John Jones had to fight everybody, who would win? I'm taking everybody else.
I'll take the field.
Yeah, I'll take the field. Look, John Jones, from a athleticism standpoint, physicality standpoint, I mean, he's got to be, right? Right?
Yeah, he's a GOAT.
I mean, again, I don't consider myself the greatest UFC historian of all time, but I think I can crack that code.
All right, let's go to Jamal M. Sampson. What's up, Jamal? He says, I have seen the NFL Combine only once. I believe it was 2011. Haven't watched it since then. It's just super uneventful. Currently number 1. I mean, did y'all watch the Combine over the weekend?
Yeah, that's a great segue. Let's go and get into best and worst.
Yeah, who'd you like?
All right, so I'm going to start with my best. I'm going to go back to Nolan Smith, who we talked about a little bit last week, and not just because he ran the 4.4 and he looked great in drills, and we know how good his movement is laterally. We're talking about the linebacker out of Georgia. But watching how excited his teammates were for him to do well, that speaks volumes to me about what type of locker room guy this is. A potential, not only first-round talent on the field, but off the field, a guy that can end up being a captain. You play a position at that linebacker position, whether it's inside or outside, that is kind of the quarterback of the defense, and it seems that Nolan Smith fits right in, being a leader, being a guy that understands how to get guys that want to play with him, not for him. I think that's something that's a big difference when you talk about leadership as a player. So Nolan Smith from a physical and then the non-physical aspect. And then the second one for me, and I want to get to this, is Anthony Richardson.
Ooh.
Not because, and I'm talking about just Who made themselves more money? That's what I'm talking about. Because to me, that's the way I look at it. This combine is meant for you to go up the chart to be able to make more money when you get drafted earlier. What I always find fascinating, excuse me, what I always find fascinating during the combine is there's always somebody that we know is a physical freak that goes to the combine and has physical freaky numbers, and then everybody freaks out. Like they had no idea. Like if Anthony Richardson was some no-name guy, if he was from like Ferris State or something and there were some question marks and he came in and ran 4.43 and set the quarterback record for vertical jump and broad jump, I'd be like, oh my God, this dude. Yeah, okay. All right. I can see now why he'd shoot up the charts. Anthony Richardson, I would have been more shocked if Anthony Richardson would have ran 4.6. I've seen this in real life. I've watched Anthony Richardson outrun people that run 4.5, 4.4. I've watched Anthony Richardson shake tackles, break tackles, be able to make guys miss in a phone booth, dive, do things that I can see him having an unbelievable vertical jump and broad jump. I'm not worried about Anthony Richardson's athleticism. That did nothing but prove something that's already been proven in my mind. Is it impressive? Hell yes, to be that big and move like that. They typically call those tight ends.
Yeah.
But the question with Anthony Richardson is accuracy. The question with Anthony Richardson is arm versatility and being able to throw the changeup when it matters. Not just throw the fastball. Physical specimen, yes. Did he make himself a lot of money? Yes. Is somebody going to reach for him and make a mistake early? Yes, because of the combine numbers he put up. I already knew this about Anthony Richardson. We all knew this about Anthony Richardson, but that's why, again, seeing something is a lot different than hearing something. And we haven't seen Anthony Richardson on the football field for a while. So people who may have just seen tape on him or hadn't watched a lot, watched him at that combine and went, oh my God, this dude is Hercules. What they didn't see is the overthrows that ended up in the safety's hands. Not throwing the check down, making mistakes during the scramble drill. All things that are correctable. But Anthony Richardson, to me, just didn't prove anything new. He proved what we all thought. He's a physical freak. So those are my two best. My worst, Kayshon Boutte, awful numbers. He did run the 4.5 on his first 40 attempt, but with his size, you feel like he needed to run better. Here's the problem with Kayshon Boutte. He had a 29-inch vertical jump. His numbers didn't jump out of the gym to you, and he had off-the-field problems. Those are two combinations you do not want. Some guys are not going to test well and are good football players. I think Kayshon Boutte is an unbelievable football player. But Boutte having bad combine numbers mixed with off-the-field problems, that is a bad, bad mix. I think he cost himself a lot of money. Then Andre Carter, the defensive end from Army, who had a bad week at the Senior Bowl, did not put up good numbers. Everybody's been talking about this waiver. He may not even get drafted, it's looking like right now. He looks like that freshman in high school that's that thin, tall defensive end that you know is going to be a dog by the time he's a junior, but he's just not developed yet. I don't know if he has time to develop. Again, those two guys, Kayshon Boutte and Andre Carter from Army.
On the Kayshon Boutte point, in addition to having off-the-field issues and then an underwhelming combine, he didn't play well on the field this past season. Remember, coming into the year, we thought Kayshon Boutte could be a top 3 wide receiver in the country. He was far from that, even as LSU started to excel and really start to overperform.
Don't forget what Brian Kelly said about him, too. He said, when we were struggling early, I couldn't find you. Now we're winning. I can't get rid of you.
Yep.
That tells me a lot.
Which during the season, we thought that was a sign of his maturity and he was coming along. And remember, he was going to come back for the season. Then around December, he said, no, I'm going to declare for the draft. So, sort of 3 strikes there in a row as far as I'm concerned. But on the Anthony Richardson point, look, we knew he was going to test well, right? Like we've seen that. We knew that he was going to be the starting quarterback after Emory Jones left at Florida, and he does only have 1 season of a sample size under Billy Napier. That's one of the things that tells me, like, yes, of course, he could take off. He could do what Justin Herbert did, and really take that next step, or Josh Allen especially, and take that next step in the league when you have all these physical characteristics. But we knew he was going to test well. To your point, does that mean you can throw the ball accurately down the field when you have shoulder pads on and the receiver's not open? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. Well, again, this is the argument I made all last week. It's like, I'm sitting here watching. It's so funny. I've been like the biggest Stetson Bennett defender ever of all time. And underneath his clip on Twitter, I was like, throwing in without pads just makes absolutely no sense if you've ever thrown with pads on. And people are like, oh, you're just saying this because it's Stetson Bennett. I'm like, if you idiots have ever heard me talk for 2 minutes, I've said this about everybody ever, and I've been the biggest Stetson Bennett defender, which Stetson runs 4.67, looks pretty good throwing the ball. I mean, late third day. Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, look, Anthony Richardson, someone is going to go up there and reach for him, just like they do in the NBA, just on physical characteristics.
Look at him.
Because it's like there's almost a bigger fear on passing on a Patrick Mahomes type than getting a bust. I remember Jamarcus Russell from LSU getting down on one knee and throwing the football 80 yards, and everybody just thought he was going to be the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yep.
And that's not how it works.
The people are saying this as people who haven't watched game tape of Anthony Richardson. Go through the season, watch game tape, and then come back and tell me you really feel comfortable about drafting him in the first round. Because you won't.
They either did that or just watched highlights, which is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
Like in recruiting, too. You just watch highlights, you're like, oh, my God, he's so good. Like, yeah, because those are the highlights. Like, if you showed all the highlights of, like, my life, like, off the field, you'd be like, he's the greatest person ever. It's like petting a dog, helping an old lady cross the street, you know?
Is that it? Is that the highlights?
There's a couple.
That's enough.
Yeah, that's enough.
That's
Gets
enough.
my way
All
to
right.
heaven, right?
I'll move through mine quickly here. How about Michigan cornerback DJ Turner with the 4.27? Do you guys see that?
Yeah,
Let's
just
watch it.
skating. Let's go ahead and play it.
Quickness.
Ting, 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 ting.
Comes out low, baby.
Gone.
Shut out of a cannon. Comes
Gone.
out low.
Yeah.
4.27.
That must be so cool.
Didn't the kid from TCU run like a 3.3?
You don't have the
Marcus
little
Davis?
Ewok?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They clocked him like right. They did it on Twitter and stopped it. It was a 3.9.
He just disappeared
It was
halfway
a
through the
3.9.
40.
That's
They
what
started the clock and he just
So
disappeared.
two things I've always wanted to be able to feel like. Well, three things. Throw it 95 plus, jump a 40-inch vertical, and run a 4.3. I just want to know what it feels like.
Yeah, just to see it. They should have a simulator of like, this is what it looks like
Yeah.
on a 4.3.
Talking about
That may be a
verticals,
great
man.
idea.
How about BYU offensive lineman Blake Freeland, 6'7",
Yeah, this is
302 pounds, 37-inch vertical.
Get
That's
away from me.
insane.
Get away from
Out of
Send him to
BYU.
Ukraine.
Christian Gonzalez, cornerback from Oregon, the highest rated relative
Yeah, he's
athletic
sad.
score.
It's
This
sad.
guy's going to be like a top 7 pick. Or
Yeah,
something,
he's
man.
nasty.
Just
Top 10 for
unbelievable.
sure.
Him and Joey Porter Jr.
Joey's long.
How about Darnell Washington?
That was mine, yeah.
You got,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
go ahead. Talk
I mean,
about the
yeah, do we
catch.
have the video of him pushing the sled?
We have the sled, yeah.
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 If you go watch the rest of the tight ends push the sled, it's not even
I think it's
close.
cut in there.
This guy's literally from Pacific Rim. That's CJ Stroud. He's
Here
pretty
you
good
go.
too.
Here you go.
But
watch
look at
watch
this thing.
this. Go ahead and play it. Now, my dog.
Look at his hands.
But you have to do it my way.
Oh my God. He might
Yeah, like the people really don't understand. Like, watch this catch. Look at this thing run.
Shoo!
Oh, yes.
God.
You're drafted.
Like a tennis ball.
You're
yeah.
drafted.
Come play for us.
You think I want Will Levis? Give me that thing.
Yeah.
Again, 6'7", 270, 4'6"?
Dude.
Not even the best tight end on Georgia
Let's
State.
just say,
That is nuts.
God,
Cocaine
so
bear.
true.
Can we just be honest? Cocaine bear.
Pacific Rim.
It's no, Darnell Washington's 100% cocaine bear.
Like, send him to Ukraine and all be fixed.
exactly right.
One of the things on
So
Will
in
Levis,
tanks.
Yeah.
one of the things on Will Levis I thought was interesting was you saw him. He was trying to take some off of those throws. I think
what
to
happened?
prove that he
And what
could like
happened?
throw the change up and to throw off speed. Led to more inaccuracy.
Oh, no.
It was one of those situations where it was like he tried to do the right thing to show his versatility from a passing standpoint.
Yeah.
I think he would have been better served if he just here's
then
like
it's-
Anthony Richardson. Look, it is a combine. If they're going to allow you to move up higher in the draft for just throwing without pads on and throwing fastballs, go throw fastballs.
did they say?
Oh, they were
Major
clocking the fastest
What
throw.
did
Like
they
the kid
say?
from UCLA threw it like
What did they
3,000
say?
miles per hour.
Yeah.
Hey, he's the best ever.
It's like a voice says a major league. It's like on that 3-2 pitch. It's like, give him the heater.
He did.
It's like, just, Will, look, it's not that we know that you know that's,
Yeah.
they know you struggle with that.
You try to
Like-
show versatility.
Like, you're trying to show
you showed
versatility.
inability.
But see, that's exactly right. God, I'm coughing a lot this morning. Getting the demons out.
Yeah.
But no, like that's the thing with Will Levis. It's like, it's not that we know you're not trying to do it. You just struggle to do it. That's why I'm not believing you. Don't you know Will Levis saw Anthony Richardson run that and do like all this stuff, and he's like, damn it. Because Will Levis wanted to be like the physical freak. Like, he can throw it over those mountains over there. you
CJ
know?
looked good. Of course, CJ
Of course
looked
CJ's
good.
gonna
We
look
already
good.
knew CJ was gonna look
Every
good.
Buckeye looked good.
Yeah.
Jackson Smith and Jigba's out there winning
Yeah.
the shuttle drills and the 3-cone drills. Both the twin towers
Yeah.
over there, left
The
tackle,
tackle,
right
yeah.
tackle, was like, hey, just take your pick.
I thought
see what Dewan-
Jameer Gibbs looked good.
Well,
Ran a
every time, look,
4.36. Jameer Gibbs.
He ran 4.36?
Yeah, he's an NFL back. Look good catch.
well, here's that. I think he's Tony Pollard. That's what I think he is.
NFL back.
I think he's Tony, no, like a true like swing guy.
And Tony a little bigger though.
Like Tony's a little thicker, but give Jameer's small in height, but I mean, he's a little bit thicker than what I think people give him credit for. Now, he's a guy that you can put in the slot. You can just do a lot of stuff with him. Like I don't think Jahmyr Gibbs is a great in the box runner. Like in the NFL, I don't think that's exactly what he's going to be. But from a speed sweep, outside perimeter run, getting the swing, screen game type player, man, like Jahmyr can do a lot. Speaking about doing a lot, you can go ahead and call in. We got Brett Favre's lawyer coming on here in a minute. You can call in at 1-855-236-3228. That's right, straight off the dome. Straight off the dome. Been taking those athletic greens. Got my brain all athletic. It's 1-855-236-3228. So that's our best and worst. Let's go ahead and get to the Booster Club before we get to Eric.
Okay, let's go to Texas Ed. You said if a player runs 4.1 or less, are they basically going back in time?
Yeah, if you run a 4.1, then basically what happens is instead of the NFL, Nick Fury from the Avengers shows up and basically just keeps you in his crew. That's how that happens.
As long as it's not Hawkeye, we're all cool with it. Let's go to Ruben Hall. #AskCrane Company.
Hawkeye.
How do you like my Louisville Cardinals next year in football?
No Malik Cunningham. We'll see. I love the Brom hire. All right, he understands the way it works down at Louisville. I think they'll be fine. But I'm going to go ahead and get to Eric Herschmann, attorney for Brett Favre here. I believe we got him on the line. Eric, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Eric, we appreciate you taking some time, my friend, on this Monday.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Definitely. I know you're making the rounds. I know it's a crazy time right now. What I want to do for our audience, I know most of them have been keeping up with this. Do you mind just giving a little bit of the lay of the land and where we're at with this Brett situation with, the defamation, some things that were happening? Because I don't think people know the full scope of what he was kind of, being accused of in the national media without there really being a lot of merit to some of these accusations. And when you dig, there's a lot that kind of unravels a little bit there, Eric.
There really is. I mean, this is one of the strangest cases I think I've ever seen, and I've been doing this for a long time. Brett decided to help his alma mater and said he'll help them raise funds to build a indoor volleyball facility. And the university said, great. And he went about and agreed that he'd help with fundraising. He spoke to different people in the state, spoke to the governor himself about it, and the state agreed to help with the fundraising. And Brett went to others to get some money and gave money himself. Excuse me. And after he did that, it turns out that the money came from a state agency, went eventually to Southern Miss, and they got an indoor wellness center. And somewhere in that sequence, they sued Brett for the money. And I mean, the money literally never left the state. Excuse me. And so, we made a motion to dismiss. The state dropped most of its allegations against Brett Favre and changed its theory in its new complaint.
Really?
And they literally say that money went from a state agency to the Southern Miss University for the Southern Miss University to get a building on its campus, and Brett is liable because the money was taken in, it was welfare funds. That's the gist of their case.
I mean, and it's easy to track, correct? I mean, you don't have to be. Go ahead.
It is easy to track. I mean, this is the strangest case. Brett never got any of this money.
Wow.
They're suing him for $5 million that went from MDHS, the state agency that's responsible for welfare funds, and ended up in the pocket of another state agency, Southern Miss.
Wow.
And for some way, they think that's a theft.
Yeah, I'm just that's shocking to me. And then you see kind of how it blossomed and turned into this narrative. And we had Brett on kind of as this was going. Now, we didn't talk to him about this, but all of a sudden you see some of these parties that have been listed. I mean, I can say them here, obviously, with Pat and Shannon, and those people just took that and just ran with it. Do you think there was some nefarious narrative or just people just getting clicks out of using Brett Favre's name in a derogatory light?
I think it's both. I think that for the state auditor, he decided he's going to make himself famous on Brett Favre's back.
Okay.
And no one ever heard of him before this. And the irony of this entire case is he talks about how the state auditor and his team did such a great job on covering this. But the announcement of the facility was public. There was a ribbon cutting, the full 9 yards, press release. No one said a word about it. No one complained about it. The attorney general for the state of Mississippi and the Institute for Higher Learning, and everybody signed off on the deal. Only, it says, when the governor, his boss, who appointed him, called him up and told him about it, did they decide it's a problem.
Wow.
And there may be a problem within Mississippi, I'm not saying, but this really has nothing to do with Brett.
Yeah. No, that's
Well, yeah, Mr. Herschmann, we appreciate you helping break this down here because we get asked about it a lot. Is there someone who is in the wrong in this situation and it's just not Brett Favre, or is everyone clean here and it's just a misunderstanding?
No, I think there are people that are in the wrong. They've pled guilty.
Okay.
And people that actually got money pled guilty. The thing with Brett is Brett didn't get any of this money. The only money that Brett got was for work that he did for a not-for-profit. He did work for a not-for-profit. He got paid. He found out that the money came from welfare funds. He was unaware of it, and he gave all the money back.
Mm.
After he gave all the money back, the state sued him for the same money.
Gotcha. Okay,
So we moved to dismiss that, and the state withdrew it, obviously.
So that
But-
right there, that's what, because another question we get asked is there was a situation where Brett Favre returned some of the money that he was being sued for what, like speeches or something, whatever you said. Is that the money you're talking about there?
Yeah, he wasn't even sued for it.
Okay.
Just so you understand, this entire thing was, he did work for a not-for-profit. He did some advertising and some radio hits for them. He got paid. He found out afterwards that the not-for-profit had taken money inappropriately, and he voluntarily gave the money back. No one ever sued him for it. Right? After he gave the money back, then they sued him.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Well, it just sounds to me like we see a lot in today's society where there's a problem that gets exacerbated, that is then attached to a big name, then it gets thrown into the national spotlight and it gets muddied up. My question, and Blaine, obviously I want to get to you, is I know Brett didn't seek out wanting to get money from people who were saying bad things about him. But when it gets to a certain level where people like Pat McAfee and Shannon Sharpe are basically defaming you on live TV about something that they are not 100% read up on. I mean, Eric, is this about as much of a slam dunk as you've seen when it's come down to people being talked about in this manner in a national spotlight with no repercussions?
We think it's a slam dunk. I will tell you that Shannon Sharpe, since he's been sued, has been quiet.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee keeps talking about it. And in all my years of being an attorney and being a prosecutor previously, I don't think I've ever seen a defendant build a case against themselves.
Yeah.
Or the Pat is.
Yeah.
So he just keeps talking about it. And he says, oh, his defense was I threw in the word allegedly. Well, two things is, the things that we cite, he didn't throw in the word allegedly. That's the first part. And secondly, if he did any research or he had a lawyer looking, he would realize that's not really a defense.
Yeah.
But Monty Jones should be up there too. He's been out saying a lot of stuff as well.
There are other people that are out there. You know, we've made our decision to start here. We sued, Shad White, the state auditor, and he issued a statement claiming falsely that we accused all the employees of the state auditor's office of lying. We never made that claim. We said he defamed Brett Favre. We asked him to withdraw it and apologize. He refused. We sued him in his personal capacity, so it doesn't come out of the taxpayers' money when he has to pay for the damages, and he is defending the case using his office.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, one of the things that stood out to me from the very beginning, when I first heard about this, the headline was something along the lines of Brett Favre stole welfare money from poor people in Mississippi. And immediately when I first heard that, that's why I wanted us to be very cautious with this from the get-go, because as if to think that Brett Favre would have access, like he's Danny Ocean, like going in and actually stealing money, right?
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things that
Eric
sort of
likes the Danny Ocean.
it's sort of
He's writing that down right now. It's like, God, that's a good one.
I like that
down on a cord or something like he's Danny.
He's like, man, Elon Musk knows what the hell
I'm
he's talking
telling you.
about over
If
here.
anybody can, it's Elon
Hey,
Musk.
I'll build you an electric car too. Don't worry about it.
That's exactly. There's some money there. Good.
I think that's really a great point. The entire funds were controlled by the state.
Yeah.
So MDHS is a state agency. They directed the money through the university's not-for-profit to the university. So it goes from one state agency to another state agency, and the state itself owns the building. And it's amazing that they haven't sued the university and say, give us back the money for the building. And we think it's obvious you can't steal from yourself.
Yeah. No, that is a great point, David. And you've talked about that many times. Blaine,
Yeah, I'm going to Cal Kenny. He wants to know, how's Brett doing through all this? Is he handling it well? And also, is he angry just being dragged into this entire mess?
I think he's upset, and I think he's justifiably upset. And this has hurt him financially. This is a guy who's probably the most famous alumnus of Southern Miss.
Mhm.
He has gone to bat for them over and over and over again. And people try to link it to his daughter, but when he wanted Southern Miss to try to recruit Deion Sanders' kid, who was a top recruit, he said, "You're going to need an indoor practice facility." So he said, "Let's try to help Southern Miss get an indoor practice facility." Obviously, his daughter isn't playing Division I football,
Yeah.
but he's been supportive of the university forever,
Mhm.
and he wants to help the university any way he can. And he really feels he went out to do a good thing, and they really damaged his reputation.
Yeah. I mean, it's different when it comes from the inside, man. I mean,
Yeah.
that's something that's wild. Well, Eric, we know you're super busy, man. We really appreciate you taking some time today to kind of shed some light on this situation, because I don't think people really, they just see the headline and they assume one thing and don't really dive into it and figure out what's going on. We'd love to have you on in the future as this kind of plays out. Do you expect this to be a long process?
Listen, we hope the judge is going to grant our motion to dismiss. I mean, the fact that the state completely changed its theory from its first complaint to its amended complaint should tell everybody what they need to know.
Definitely.
It's really time to put an end to this.
Yeah, it is too. And again, we've had Brett on, and I know one thing. I think Brett just wants to be in a stand somewhere watching the animals go out in the green field.
Yeah.
But Eric, we appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right,
Thank you.
Eric Herschmann representing Brett Favre. And listen, you can take away, you be on whatever side. We just want to get down to the facts. And I know that as his attorney, he's going to speak in a good light of Brett Favre, obviously. But this is something that is easy to track. That's been our thing this whole time. This is not money that comes out of nowhere or just that showed up or you found in a briefcase or that it was laundered through some sort of lemonade stand or something. This is money that you can track and find where it went, whether it's through the nonprofit or the university. And right now, it is looking like Pat McAfee and Shannon Sharp
Yep.
may
Just to start.
just
look,
start.
that's
Well,
the
guess what?
start.
You know what? It'll be good. It's good for society when people that say things that are derogatory that end up being false for clicks. You can hate my opinion about stuff, but I'm not going to sit up here and denigrate a person when I do not know the facts about a situation.
Exactly.
Outside of Rosie O'Donnell.
And people in the Booster Club, they've been asking our thoughts on this Brett Favre situation for a long time now. And there was two things. One, we don't want to come out and just say something that's going to get clicks like you're talking about, end up with a defamation suit like Pat McAfee or Shannon Sharp have had now when we don't know the facts. And at the same time, we also don't want to just be lenient on a guy because he's been on the show or because we were fans of his growing up. Look, if there's criticism that is due to Brett Favre, then we will criticize him, but we just wanted as much information as possible. And since this story's broken, you've seen more and more information come out. Like you said, obviously this is Brett Favre's attorney, so he's going to speak about Brett Favre in a good light. But when you look at the case and when you look at why Mr. Herschmann even decided to take on Brett Favre as a client in the first place, it's because all of the evidence and all of the facts and the text messages and everything that he went through shows that Brett Favre is most likely going to get off.
Well, the point I think that resonates with me the most is when he talked about, you notice Shannon Sharp hasn't said anything lately. Like, because he's talking to a lawyer. Pat McAfee says, "Oh, I don't need a lawyer."
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, buddy. Like, I don't know a lot. I know,
Pat, you have a lawyer.
yeah,
Don't
like
sit here
we
and
know, like
pat,
a lawyer.
bro.
Like it just.
You're Pat
again,
McAfee. You
it's
got
like Eric
lawyers.
said. It's like Eric said.
It's cooler to not have
yeah.
I've
you
never
got
seen
one, bro.
I've never seen a defendant like make a case against him more than what Pat is. And look, I don't know Pat or Shannon personally, but it just that's an interesting road to go down. But speaking about interesting roads to go down, give us a call right now, 1-855-236-3228. I'm ready to take them whenever. Look, it's Monday. We had a lot going on. I'm down to take them whenever. But
Booster
we can have
Club?
a Booster Club here.
Okay, we got a question from Texas Ed. Let me look at a little point here. Has Brett Favre's history of personal issues led him to be an easy target for this situation?
For sure. I agree with that. And look, when I am for, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. But you also need to be able to look at the facts and come up with, something that at least makes sense. And right now, when you look at this and you follow it down the rabbit hole, which we have, it's looking like Brett's probably going to come out clean in this.
When you say when someone shows you who they are, believe them, that may actually help Brett Favre in this situation if what his attorney's saying is true with Brett Favre's history of trying to help his alma mater, Southern Miss.
For sure.
If there's a long history of that, and this is just another example in that long history of trying to help Southern Miss get facilities and fundraise, that'll actually do well for him.
Yeah, it just, man, this is such an interesting story.
Let's go to Travis Elrod, hashtag Ask Crane and Company. Does Rodney Terry keep his job at Texas after this year? He's done pretty well.
Depends on how they do in the tournament. I think it depends on how they do in the
Because
tournament.
they were number one in the country.
Yeah, I mean,
Chris Beard went out.
Yeah, I mean, you finished top 3. Obviously, in the Big 12, you have a big win at home against Kansas to end the regular season. I think if they make it to the Sweet 16 or beyond, Rodney Terry's going to be the head coach of Texas.
Gotcha.
If not, I think they're going to go try and make some huge, big splash hire where they throw a ton of money at somebody.
Okay, let's go to T-Money 87. He's all about that smaller dollar bills. Don't think he's going to win the defamation lawsuit. He's a public figure. Good luck. It's usually a high bar.
It is. That is true.
It is a high bar, but again, when you have evidence that is, I mean, I've seen the videos. I mean, you don't have to, you can go back and see them right now. I think it is when you get into specifics of saying that somebody stole a certain thing for a certain reason, that's where you start getting into the weeds of, all right, it's not like there was just general broad. If you came out and said, you know what, I think Brett Favre's a terrible guy, you can't sue anybody over that.
Yeah.
But when you come out and say, I think Brett Favre stole this money from poor people in the state of Mississippi doing it this way, that's a totally different thing.
Or if you come out and say, this is the headline of what Brett Favre is being accused of. If that's true, here's what I personally think about it.
Yeah.
That's a lot different than if you just come out and say, Brett Favre stole welfare money from poor people. Like I said, that's been this headline that has gone around. Why? Because people are going to click on that immediately.
For sure.
But to even get there logically, you have to assume that Brett Favre was able to break in or work with, whoever's controlling the funds.
Put 6 guys together, like you said. Danny Ocean, Eric liked that. They thought that was pretty funny.
Not that you can't do something wrong. My point, you can still do something wrong without physically breaking in and stealing money. Certainly, I understand that. All I'm saying is that is what the headline was this whole time.
Yeah, it's he's like the dude popping out of the barrel inside the vault. All right, one more. We're going to get to calls.
Let's go to Deacon and Nora. Which quarterback will be the first one taken in the NFL draft?
Man, who should
Bryce.
or who will?
That's going to be Bryce.
No, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You want to know what's going to happen?
It's going to be Bryce.
You want to know what's going to happen? Shane Steichen and them over at the Colts right now. They love Bryce. He interviewed well. They're looking at that 5'10 and a half, whatever he measured in. Then they're looking over there at Anthony Richardson. The Colts are going to trade with the Bears for the number 1 pick and go get Anthony Richardson.
So you think CBS had it right, huh?
I mean, yes, in their guess, not in theory. I think it'd be a huge mistake. I think it's going to be a huge mistake. Anthony Richardson it's the natural human reaction. Somebody's freaking out. Shane, they're in a room right now in Indianapolis guys, can you imagine if we had Anthony Richardson in this, and we could do this, and then, look, I did this with Jalen Hurts, and then we can do this, and then we can do that, and then we drop him out of a helicopter, and there we go, Iraq's ours. They're sitting in a room right now doing that with Anthony Richardson. I'm just telling you, they're going to talk themselves into doing it. They'll talk, again, it's the NFL. It's all ball all the time. Nobody talks themselves into more things than NFL coaches. Nobody does. Nobody does. And I don't blame them. You sit around all day talking about ball, but all right.
All right, a couple things before we get to calls here that we have to recap. We talked about Ja Morant a little bit last week with some of the trouble that he's been in. Had an Instagram live video at 5 a.m. on Saturday morning showing that he had a firearm, I believe it was.
Yeah, you talking about Clarence?
Now he has to miss the next 2 games for the Grizzlies. What's going on here?
Man, I thought midlife crisis is happened in the middle of your life. Not when Gerard.
Well, we don't know how long he's going.
He's on that track. He's slowly turning into Antonio Brown. Slowly turning into him. He is.
So?
Dude, I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
I don't
I know why.
Even if you're you have to be smart enough to surround yourself. Even if you're in Memphis, dude. And I get it. You're in Memphis. Everything in Memphis is gangster. I mean, Yo Gotti. That's what it is.
A lot of big cities.
You saw A.J. Brown come out and say the same thing.
You can get in trouble or stay out of trouble in any city.
John Moran just walking in me.
You know how much money you're about to make, dude?
You already
made, but still, you have 300 plus million coming in the next couple of years, and you're doing stuff like this. You're dumb.
This is when you find out, moments like this when you find out who your true friends are. This is when you find out who really your true friends are. Because if he has any true friends, they're sitting him down listen, as your friend, I will physically fight you if you do not stop doing this.
I had a rougher childhood than you, man. I grew up in a suburban neighborhood too.
It's a Papa Doc situation?
He's Clarence. He's
Lives at-
Clarence from
lives at home.
he's Papa Doc.
Lives at home with both parents?
Yeah, and his parents have a real good marriage.
You think this is going to continue then? He's going to be in.
Now, why would stop? At what point is it going to stop? There's gonna be something happen. There's gonna be a gun charge. There's gonna be something happen.
Well, they're saying like that picture that he basically had to take that gun on the plane. Like, and that's against the
I'm telling you.
NBA's
I'm telling you.
rules. I'm just telling yeah.
Wow.
That like, bro, you need to stop. Like, somebody just sit him down, look, like it again. I would, if you were somebody that came from that type background, and those were your buddies growing up, like, and y'all, you got it out of the mud. Doesn't make it right, but I can understand it a little bit. But that's not who John Moran is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not who he is.
You went to a private high school. Quit trying to act hard.
Yeah, dude, y'all had food in the vending
Like,
machine. I don't
stop,
wanna hear
bro.
anything.
You had a basketball court built for you in your backyard.
Yeah.
Really?
And when he was
Yes.
2, his dad built him a basketball
Yeah.
court.
What?
And he's out here flashing guns. Who are you?
Yeah, it's like, look, his dad's really Del McGee or Del Curry or what is that?
Steph's dad?
Steph's dad.
Yeah, I don't know.
Del Curry. And
But like, dude, please
His dad's
stop. 'Cause
exactly
I like, no, you're a generational talent.
For
You know what I'm
sure.
saying? Like, you will be
Yeah.
robbing not only yourself, robbing the game of basketball if we don't see you.
You also went
No
to
pun
Cranbrook.
intended.
You also definitely went to Cranbrook.
For sure, you're Clarence.
Yeah. Like,
Lives at home
again,
with
I would
both
know like a high
parents.
school buddy, I can promise you. Like, it's
Stop
no.
hanging around with people,
They
dude.
didn't have skin on the chicken nuggets we had. It was just, David, I'm dead ass serious. They would
Hey.
give them to us. Look,
Look.
in a plastic bag that they had steam because there's still water drops on the outside. And you take them out, and it just looked like they cut.
Jake
like the
and them
same color.
Jake and them had metal detectors.
You had
Whoa.
metal and
Whoa.
plexiglass walls.
We had our own problems in Statesboro, but the chicken had skin.
Dude, we didn't even have
Wednesday
skin
was
on it.
chicken day.
No, I look.
That was one thing to
I
look
went to
forward
Spanish
to.
Fort.
You know what color it was? It
Basically a
was this color. It was me.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
I went to Spanish Fort. I can't say much.
We all wondered, like, what'd they do with the people on death row in the state of Alabama? They just put them in a bag and served it to us in
Oh,
middle
no.
school for lunch.
All right, we're going to take some calls here, but the last two things. Chase Elliott out indefinitely
Steroids.
after a snowboarding accident.
What are you doing?
Snowboarding accident.
Will you calm
That's
down?
that's our Hooters
Like, dude,
bud.
can you not wait 5 minutes before, like, going fast and jumping off things? Like, Chase, we want to get your show. Calm down, bro. It's like, what do we ask Chase Elliott to come? It's like, hey, Chase is slaloming his way to Nashville.
Chase, he drives like 150 plus mile per hour
He's in a
cars.
luge.
Doesn't get hurt. He gets on a snowboard and gets hurt.
Well, dude, can you just sit down for 5 minutes?
Is that not in the contract?
Got
It
What's
is
the
now.
contract?
It is now.
Yeah. Don't snowboard.
Talking about a 150-mile-an-hour car, Red Bull finished 1-2 in the Open.
Look, guys, I
Somebody
watched
bet on
it.
that?
In
We talked
Bahrain.
about this. I watched
Bahrain.
it.
Huh?
I watched it.
I know you had a good time,
I
didn't you?
watched it. I saw it when
in Bahrain.
Ferrari
Bahrain.
when their power box went out.
Yeah.
Right.
The
So
power
I saw
unit.
Aston Martin, Rose coming,
Fernando Alonso
looking good.
said,
Aston
hey, I'm
Martin.
coming to get you, Lewis. I'm coming to get you, Carlos Sainz.
You know, I sat down with one of our audio guys today before the show, and really, because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if it was time lapse that placed you, or where you actually were in the race. That's your placement. Talked about the qualifying on Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm starting to wrap my head around this a little bit. Refuse to watch the Netflix series. Looks stupid, but I will watch the races.
Okay. There you
So
go.
that's a start.
I love it. You ready for calls?
Yep.
Well, why don't we start with Cody calling in from Illinois?
Graphic King?
This is our buddy
King of
Cody.
getting graphic?
Maybe a recruiting profile.
I'm guessing.
Oh.
Let's see, Cody, what you got for us?
Who's ready for last week's edition of Name That Recruit?
Here
God,
we
I love
go.
it, Cody.
Today we have a 247 sports recruiting profile on a dual threat quarterback from the class of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Shorter quarterback who is listed under 6 foot, has a naturally thin frame, a good athlete who has speed and mobility, can evade the pass rush to make plays outside of structure, has a quick 3/4 to sidearm release and can deliver from multiple arm slots, lacks stature and has average arm strength, has a high interception rate and low yards per attempt, is a backup who will provide depth at the Power 5 level. At 5'10", 185 pounds, from Blackshear, Georgia, who do we have?
Cone.
Stetson Bennett.
Stetson Bennett?
You guys got it. You guys got
There we
Cody,
go.
that's a good one.
Oh.
So they said he was going to be, and again, that's not shocking. I mean, you look at Stetson's career, You go to Georgia, then JUCO, then back to Georgia. You look now, though, he got taller. Apparently Stetson a little bit taller than that frame they said there. Cody, let me ask you this. What's the one thing that stood out to you the combine the most?
Oh, man. I actually didn't catch too much of the combine myself.
That was my main question. That's my main question.
I'm a big Rick Eisen fan, so I like to watch him run the 40, and that's about it.
That is about the most exciting thing that happens as the combine. I'm trying to get a feel for how many people actually watch the combine or just wait and see a couple highlights of who really did what. Because how many people really sit down and watch the whole combine? I don't think it's as nearly as much as what people think. But Cody, great stuff as usual, my friend. Are we undefeated in guessing the profiles? Have we guessed every one of them?
You guys sure are.
Oh, Cody, keep it coming. We got to keep that streak.
Keep it coming.
Cody, you're
Thank
the
you,
best,
buddy.
dude.
Appreciate it, man. All right, Matthew from Cincinnati. What's going on, Matthew?
What's up, Matt?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Let's say it's a lot greener on this side, the trust tree side.
Yes. Let the dirt just shower.
Sun's coming out.
Yes, it feels great. This is Matty Ice 94 from YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And Blaine, real quick,
Go ahead.
If I have to call you Dragon, you've got to call me Nighthawk. You want to do karate in the garage.
Nighthawk.
Look, if you want to do karate in the garage anytime, Matt, I'm down.
Look, your new name's Nighthawk.
We can start a company, Prestige Worldwide, put liquid paper on a B, go kick a kid at Kmart. We can do whatever.
Who's driving the boat?
That's my little cousin.
Make our own beef jerky.
Make our own beef jerky.
God.
And I'm not mad that
I'm not
you got
mad.
hawk hands.
I'm not mad.
I got a wallet.
A rawhide wallet. But actually, I really wanted to call and talk about my Sacramento Kings. I've commented before about it.
Yeah.
They are having a great season. Who knows if it could be a fluke? I guess the question I really want to ask is there any teams in the first round that you think they could actually have a chance against?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, when again, you're third in the Western Conference right now. I mean, you're obviously trailing the Grizzlies and the Nuggets. I'm not going to put anybody past the Joker right now, but if we're looking at first round, I mean, I think you can beat anybody below you, including Golden State. I mean, yeah, again, the Pels, don't trust them with consistency. The Clippers, we're going to see with the new addition. The Mavericks don't play defense. I don't trust the Timberwolves as far as I can throw them. Golden State's hurt and beat up, even though to me, they would probably be the scariest out of those teams below. Because I don't believe in the Suns. Yeah, that's right. I said it. I don't believe in Chris Paul and Kevin Durant together. I just don't, unless I'm getting State Farm insurance. So, yeah, I think you could beat any of those teams. Really, I'm going to go and tell you outside of the Nuggets when it comes down to it at the end. But in the first round, for damn sure, Maddie.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just worried that we'll eventually get matched up against the Warriors, and that's the team that.
You're worried. You're worried because you're not used to being there, and I understand that. But remember, you're here for a reason right now. And this team, to me, when I watch them play, I think they play a style of basketball that can translate obviously into the playoffs because they're not too egotistical where they don't play defense. But when you look at the Kings, to me, it's not like they don't think they belong. I mean, again, it's almost like having a young team and they're playing well or getting deep into the tournament. They don't realize they're not supposed to be playing like this in moments like that. I kind of feel like that's the Kings a little bit.
Yeah, and as worrisome as it is to go up against the Warriors, how much more satisfying would it be to go through the champs, the in-state too, the in-state champs? I mean, that would be so much better to me.
Yeah, well, you'd much rather be talking about having to play the Warriors than never making the playoffs.
I agree.
And never being relevant at all. This is actually probably a fun conversation for Kings fans to have because they haven't had it in so long.
You got to be excited about all the young talent you have too. I mean, I've always loved watching De'Aaron Fox play basketball. Even going back to the Kentucky days, the kid's averaging 25 a game.
He's
right
a
now.
bucket.
Sabonis is an absolute problem. Keegan Murray, who's coming along, especially a lot lately. I mean, you have pieces, right? And you have the shooting and you play defense. If De'Aaron Fox keeps distributing and scoring the way he does, especially in the playoffs, you always need that one guard to be that guy. And if you have that guy in the playoffs, man, I'm telling you, y'all can beat anybody. Obviously, you don't want to see the Warriors because the Warriors just turn into a monster in the playoffs. They just turn into a beast.
They're getting healthy.
Then they're getting healthy. So there's certain teams you can beat, I think, but you want a good matchup in the first series.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you, Nighthawk. Appreciate it, man. All right,
Yes.
Anthony. Anthony's calling in from Clarksville, Tennessee.
Ooh.
Not too far. Anthony, what's going on?
Ville.
Hey, guys. So I tried to call in Friday, but you guys had to cut the calls before I get to me. But I got to tell you what happened Friday on the way to work. So I saw not one, but two bald eagles on the way to work. And so I took this and I chose to interpret this as a sign from God.
Hashtag
Yes.
trust the signs.
Yes.
Here we go.
Yeah. The Panthers will not draft Will Levis with their first round pick.
That's what the Eagles told me.
Ooh,
So
I like it.
I've been losing a lot of sleep over this. And, so I don't think it's going to happen now. So I've been sleeping a little bit better. Even though Will Levis's arm, of course, a lot of coaches are probably talking themselves into what they could do with Will Levis.
Yeah, and Anthony Richardson.
And Anthony Richardson.
I'll say this. The bald eagle sign, I don't know if you know this, as somebody who came up with trusting the signs, which Portnoy totally stole from me like 2 days later. He saw like a lizard or something, said trust it. But that's fine. I'll just call Eric Herschmann. The bald eagle sign is the greatest and strongest of all the
That's what I
signs.
thought.
And when you see one of them, it's obviously a sign. When you see two of them, it's a guarantee. All right. So
If you see three of them, you run for president.
yeah. If you see three of them, if you see three of them, you're dead.
Yeah. Run for president.
Like, thank God you only saw two, because by the time you see the third one, you're already dead. But no, those signs, I would sleep a lot better. You'd much rather see two bald eagles than three crows.
Hey, if you're the Panthers, just go get a tackle.
Yeah.
Just go get a tackle.
Somebody can step back.
Please.
At 9, you're at 9, right?
Yeah.
The Panthers are
And
at
let
9.
Matt Corral play
Go get a
quarterback.
tackle. Let Matty Ice get up there a
let's
little bit
go.
and figure it out. Just go get it. Just don't
Matt
reach.
Corral.
You
Yes.
just hope that people reach before you. Reach for Anthony.
Please reach.
They reach for Will.
Everybody reach.
Bryce and CJ aren't going to be there.
Go get those two things.
Don't fall
from
for the
Ohio
trap,
State.
buddy. Because I promise you, Anthony Richardson or Will Levis is not better than Matt Corral.
I'm with you. I am with you.
If the Yankees want to call and clip that, they can clip that. If they want to.
Hey,
I'm
look,
telling you
I want
right
to say
now.
this too. I caught a lot of hell last year when I said Walker Kessler was going to be better than Chet Holmgren. And what's happening now? What's happening now?
Walker's balling.
Is Walker playing better than Jabari Smith?
Yes. Yes.
That's the wild
Yeah.
part. Not the Chet part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Chet Holmgren's made with like tears of gypsy.
The Slender Man.
Bones are put. Yeah, he's Slender Man
Yeah.
for sure. But Anthony, thank you so
Jabari's
much,
only
buddy.
shooting like 38%.
Yeah, Jabari's been struggling, man. He'll figure it out.
But yeah, I don't want any Jabari hating here.
Yeah.
I'm not hating on him. I'm just saying Walker's balling.
yeah.
Do it.
Okay. Thank you, Anthony.
Don't do
All right. Gavin from Pennsylvania. What's going on, Gavin?
Going pretty good. So I just want to kind of talk about one of the more sexy positions normally coming out of the NFL combine. And it's normally people are really excited about the wide receivers, but with the measurement of like the heights and weights of some of these guys, do you think where some of these guys are on the lighter side, do you think some teams are going to wait a little bit on the wide receivers, or like especially after this top couple guys that are a little bit more of the stature you might expect go? Do you think they're going to wait and maybe take a flyer on some of these guys later rounds?
Look, we talk about the 40-yard dash and how important that is, and at the wide receiver position, we know it's hugely important. When you look at the slot guys and the outside guys, now I know Quentin Johnston didn't run his 40 from TCU, but I think he's going to go pretty high. I think this wide receiver class is deep. I don't think it is what it was last year, and I don't think it is what it's going to be next year. I'm telling you right now, from all I've seen, I still think Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best one out of all of them. I know he isn't at the combine performing. He's still got another year, which he may or may not play, but I think Marvin Harrison's the top receiver out of these last two classes. But I will say this. When it comes down to me, when I'm looking at evaluating a wide receiver, obviously you need to know what's in your room, right? Do we have a ton of, slot guys? Do we have a ton of outside guys? What do we need to add that we don't have? But if everything is even, give me the big physical wide receiver on the outside that can go get the ball. Your Quentin Johnston's, but he's not the only one. Michael Wilson from Stanford, guys like that are big. Jonathan Mingo from Ole Miss. Give me the bigger guys, because you're not always going to create separation, right? You're not always going to create it. Most time in the NFL, they're going to have to throw you open, or you're going to have to turn a 50-50 ball into a 70-30 ball. I I will always err on the side of big, strong, long strider over small, quick, fast. You want both of them. And I just think right now, outside of Jackson Smith and Jigba and boy from Boston College, Zay Flowers,
Zay's
I'm not
nice.
just absolutely falling over in love with this wide receiver class right
Well, you had to love seeing Jackson Smith and Jigba come out and like lead the wide receivers in shuttle drills and cone drills after coming off that injury. So
I think you're going to see 3 to 4 receivers taken in the first round. I really do. Jackson, you're going to see probably Jordan Addison. I think
Didn't have a great 40, but
I
yeah.
know,
you'll
but I
probably
think
about Jalen Hyatt.
I think Jalen Hyatt is going to end up the last pick of the round. I think Jalen's going to go to the Chiefs.
You see what Jordan Addison said to Kenny Pickett at the Steelers, who he played with at Pittsburgh? Said, "Come get me."
Yeah, that'd be
Y'all
great.
come
I think
get me.
Jordan's going to be
Him
a
and
good piece.
Pickens. I mean, Pickens.
I think Jordan's going. I think Quentin Johnson's probably end up going to the Texans. I know he didn't have a great 40, but he's one of those guys who plays above the rim.
Replacing D-Hop.
Plays above the rim in football, right? He goes and gets it. So he kind of D-Hop didn't have a great 40 either coming out of college. I'm not saying he's going to be DeAndre Hopkins, but Texans love these kind of receiver, a big body receiver, and he's good in and out breaking routes, and that's what you need when you're that size.
yeah, I know all about his in and out breaking routes. Okay, from the college football playoffs. So
Don't.
You
It's
okay? Too soon?
a trust tree, Dave.
Gavin, we
You're
appreciate
safe
it, man.
here.
Thank you, Gavin.
Thank you. All right, Kevin from Jacksonville, Florida. What's going on, Kevin?
Kevin, everything.
Hey, good morning. Good morning,
Kevin,
guys.
what's up, brother?
Kevin T. Oh, a whole bunch. So I've got a probably an unpopular opinion here.
I love it.
But I'm firmly planted in the trust tree, guys, and it's
Yeah.
about Chase Elliott.
Okay.
If it's not thrilling enough to race stock cars every week in the most elite league for the winningest team in history, you're not serious about your racing career. I think Chase could use a good firing or two and race with some of those second-tier teams to see what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's my thing on it. I agree with you on the first part here, Kevin. Like, dude, like I get being an adrenaline junkie, right?
I don't get that.
Now I can understand how people are like that. You need that, but you race NASCAR. Like this isn't enough. You go again. I'm the same guy who thought up until about 2 years ago that the whole time when the drivers are driving, they're screaming out of fear. So that I know that's not true, but like, to Kevin's point, dog, what do you just go from a NASCAR race and just to skydiving?
Didn't we run into something
snowboarding?
like this with Patrick Mahomes? Wasn't there something out there? He was on like a dirt bike or something like that, to where they had.
Well,
to
it's
put in his
Fernando
contract
Tatis
that
Jr.
he could
every
do. Like,
year.
at what point do you make so much money to where you're not allowed to really go have fun?
Yeah, well, I get that, but also the off season. That's the time you can. I think like if Chase Elliott goes and snowboards in the off season, that's one thing. The season just got underway, right?
Yeah, that's
like we
dumb.
just had the Daytona 500.
Yeah, 2 races
like,
in.
and it's March. We're 2 races in. Like, why weren't you doing this in December?
All right, so basically what we're saying is, look, Hooters, we got the VIP cards, which I believe the rules state, unless I'm wrong, that if the top driver gets injured, if you have a VIP card, you're now eligible
You're in the
to drive.
At the back.
Look,
I've been
That's what the
riding with the
back
fear
is.
for a while now.
Blaine,
all right?
you ready for NASCAR
I've hit
or
the
what,
gas pedal
bud?
down. Look, and both my eyes work.
Both of them
All right?
work?
So put me in there. Let's go.
Well, it only matters
I
if the
can
left
turn
one-
left. This is what I always say. Let's get me in the car. All right, get me in the car. Give me 2 weeks. I got it.
You'll be the first person to work in the Daily Wire. that
It's either a
actually go
win.
left.
It's either a win or I'm dead in a crash.
Yeah, just
no
one of
in
the
between.
two.
There's no in
You're
between.
one of the two. That's
And you best
exactly
believe
right.
there's going to be a cougar sitting right
Kevin, would you support Blaine being the new Hooters NASCAR driver?
Oh, heck yeah.
So there it is.
I'll even stand online for his autograph when they come
That
back
is,
down in August.
you
heard
know,
it,
and we
Bruce.
have to have.
You heard it.
There has to be a flaming dragon on the side of the car.
mean, come
or
on.
just like a dragon's head coming out the front of the car.
come on.
We'll never lose.
Come on.
Who would be your main sponsor?
Who'd be my main
It'd be
sponsor?
Hooters.
Who would be the hood sponsor?
Well, other than
Jeremy's
Hooters?
Chocolate.
Jeremy's chocolate.
There it is. There it
Golly,
is.
There's a lot starting to make sense to me right now.
I mean, the stars are aligning perfectly.
I'm gonna be up there in your ear.
Jeremy's
Yeah.
We'll be
chocolate
with the
NASCAR
binoculars.
car.
Yeah.
The
Like
flaming
either I
dragon?
win
Coming up
or
behind
I'm
you, that
wrecking
boy.
everybody.
Wow. Yeah. That's
Either I win
or
or no one wins.
it's like right when you figure out you're not winning, you start wrecking people.
Yeah,
Blaine's
I'm
no
going-
gonna
more
turn,
race.
I'm gonna
There's
turn
no more
around.
race.
I'm gonna
Going
turn around and go the other way. Let's see who really's about it.
So you just want to
Let's see
race
who's
once.
really about
There's
it.
no
Blaine
next
wants to play
race.
chicken with the NASCAR.
Let's see how bad you really want to win.
Oh my gosh. Kevin, great stuff.
Oh,
man.
appreciate
Thank
that,
you
Kevin.
for putting that image in my head now.
Thank you, man. All right, Wyatt, our last call here. Wyatt calling in from Texas. What's going on, Wyatt?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Hey, Wyatt, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Sensei Cone, Architect Jake, and Babyface Blaine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Stop flexing for the camera.
I thought I was going to need a cool nickname.
shouldn't have
Yeah.
shaved.
I thought I was going to get a cool nickname. I went to my grandma. She asked my face shaved.
Okay, well.
He's
Not
like 88.
today. Not today. Well,
Not
I guess
today.
if you're doing for your grandma, it's not bad. Yeah, but if you're going to jump in that NASCAR, you got to at least put a mustache on that face.
Oh, I will.
Oh, for
I'll be
sure.
stashed out. I'll
Yeah,
have two Bud
there
Lights
needs
before I
a
get in
stash
there.
that goes around like connects in the back.
Yeah, the helmet
Connects in the
stash.
front and the back.
The helmet stash.
The chin strap.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it.
It's good, you know, get you free gas in Smith Station. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I got a college football question for you guys because, the season never stops, right?
For sure.
Facts.
So I'm going to just yell it from the trust tree up here since I didn't say that last time, so tired. I'm up here with the Bald Eagles asking questions.
Good, good. That means you're getting answers.
Yeah, exactly. This year, we all kind of know what's going to happen. We're going to have Stetson Bennett go to Las Vegas, which probably is the absolute worst place for him to go right now with his
A lot of natty lights.
True that.
intoxication habits. Will Levis is going to go to the Colts because that just sounds right coming out of my mouth.
I know.
It just sounds like such a Colts thing to do.
For sure.
Let's look ahead to next year. I'm going to ask you guys, what is like your dark horse quarterback coming out next year? Because, you could say Caleb Williams is probably going to be the top pick, depending on his next year. But who's your dark horse guy, and who do you think is going to have the best NFL career?
Man, that's a great question. Wyatt, it's always good to talk to you, my friend. Hope everything's good out there. I will say my dark horse for next year, I'll start with dark horse. And you know what? I'm going to keep it local. Robbie Ashford.
Yeah.
Auburn quarterback.
To do what?
Oh.
To have a big year, I think he's a dark horse next year because he fits what Hugh Freeze does and he can run that RPO offense. Now, when it comes to NFL career, looking down the road, you're going to hear people talk about, Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
You're going to hear people talk, Drake May.
Yes.
You're going to hear people say, Spencer Rattler, if he can put it together. There's a name out there that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, and they need to. Will Rogers.
Yes.
Mississippi State. Came back for another year. I think he has a chance as just a natural thrower of the ball and a guy who's basically an offensive coordinator. I think he could be really effective in the NFL, and somebody could get a big steal. He'll impress next year. He'll have good numbers. Mississippi State's going to be running somewhat of a different system than the air raid, so it'll be a little bit more balanced, which I think is going to help him out, even though RIP, our buddy Mike Leach. I think Will Rogers is going to be a guy next year that they end up taking after the second round that ends up having a really good
I like
career.
that. I like that, man. He really does spin the ball well. And let's see how much of his success was the system that he was playing in with that air raid
75%
offense.
completion.
Yep, exactly. And that will go down naturally, some in more pro-style offense. But, Caleb Williams and Drake May, I believe are going to be absolute stars. I think they can do everything that you need to do on a football field, and they're going to continue to do that at the next level. When you look at someone like Sam Hartman, who's going to be at Notre Dame this next season, that's interesting, more of like a Kenny Pickett type.
Cam Rising out of Utah. Like, do we feel NFL-wise?
I don't know.
He's Sam Howellish to me, though, right?
What about Michael Penix?
Like, what's the difference between him and Sam
Michael
Howell?
Penix.
Michael Penix is a
Tua's
really
beating
good
the whole lefty thing in the NFL right now, so they actually are looking at lefties. When you have Bo Nix at Oregon,
Yeah.
who could really
you could really just stay out
be
the
a dark
Pac-12
horse there. You got Devin Leary coming out of Kentucky.
I was going to say him next. Devin Leary, I don't know. He really underperformed this past season. Obviously, he can spin a beautiful ball. Can he take that next step, though, into the NFL?
I think Kentucky bringing Liam Cohen back from the Rams, who was with Will Levis 2 years ago, I think is going to help them, open that offense up a little bit because they kind of reverted back to old Kentucky 3 yards, a cloud of dust, please, Chris Rodriguez. Get us to the fourth quarter.
You got KJ Jefferson.
KJ Jefferson. Man, look, the class next year.
Yeah.
Wyatt, I'm excited.
I'll tell you, how about this? You want a dark horse? What about J.J. McCarthy at Michigan? He'll be a junior, right? So he could technically come out after this next season. What if he takes a leap this next year?
I'll give you another one.
Because you know how much mobility is being incentivized in the NFL?
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels.
Garrett Schrader, Syracuse is coming back, that big monster. If he can figure it out, he's got prototype-wise.
Yeah,
they look at him, former wide receiver. If he can just figure it out. Syracuse was hotter than just about anybody for the first 5-6 weeks.
Tell you, Jaden Daniels and Michael Penix Jr., those are two very interesting ones.
White, that's a good call, man. Really got us thinking there. Appreciate it, my friend.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sweet.
All right.
Love calls, man.
Yep.
That's fun.
I'm going to head over to the Board of Education, and then I'm going to give my speech for winning last month.
Okay. You guys want to talk about John Jones winning at all?
Yeah.
You watched that fight?
Y'all watched it a little more.
Yeah, I watched the whole card.
Yeah?
Watched the whole card. The card was okay, I thought. First of all, John Jones looked like an absolute monster. Heavyweight.
Because he is.
First time we've seen heavyweight. John Jones comes out of a 3-year, whatever you want to call it, a sabbatical or whatever.
Yeah,
John Jones.
sabbatical.
Yeah, it seems a little bit different now. I mean, ended it early. The French guy, you kind of knew once. John Jones is just such a technician when he gets in the ring. Just everything he knows exactly what your opponent's doing. First of all, I haven't seen a choke come from that angle in a long time, but I thought the co-main event was the best
The
fight.
girls?
The co-main event was the best fight. The girl from Mexico ends up taking down the champion, and the way she did it, the champion trying to do a back.
Did she fight the Chinese girl? Like,
No, she got beat. It's I'll go look at her. It's a long last name, but the girl she beat's been running through the UFC for like not even close, killing everybody. But the girl tried to do a back. She was winning the fight. The champion was winning the fight. She tried to do a spin leg kick. The girl jumped on her back, got her in the choke.
Yeah.
I believe it's in the third round. Got her in the choke,
cute.
and she up tapped. And I think that girl was like plus 1,400 to win that. What a win! The card was okay. The Hands of Steel guy and the Russian guy who's like 15-0, hasn't lost anybody. He wears like a raccoon or bear skin on his.
Oh God!
He's gonna end up having a championship fight. But good to see John Jones come back and dominate. John Jones is here to stay. He's the GOAT.
Well, it's not. Again, is John Jones here to stay though? That's the problem. The problem's not him fighting. It's getting to the fight. Like he always does something. It's either steroids or like kidnap the president's son or something like that. You don't talk about becoming an.
I think we'll see a different John Jones. I think John Jones is going to be around for a little bit.
All right.
Is this the speech for winning last month?
Yes.
Oh, so I give it now?
David's always in a kerfuffle.
He is.
He's
There's
just always in the.
some.
People don't realize David's like they
You
think
gave
I spend the.
suggestions always,
I
went
mix the
2-0.
pot. David stirs the pot more than
Cone
anybody
is
on
part
this
of
show.
Pots.
Of
He's
more
stir,
controversy.
he's just in the kitchen
Cone's
stirring
like,
pot.
you know
2-0
what?
strategy, I thought.
No.
What a game
Look,
doesn't forbid, it allows,
I'm
I
just
thought.
so glad I'm not in this.
Cone is the person. Cone is 100% is the person who's like, guys, like there's an argument between friends. He's like,
Here we
guys,
go, here we
I don't
go.
want any part of this. All right, this is between y'all. And then it closed doors. Cone's like, oh, you're totally right.
That doesn't make me sound good at all.
Right, dog.
That
All
really-
right.
Okay, how about this? You go ahead. You do your thing. I'll give a speech tomorrow.
Is this the David
I'll get
Michigan
my-
coming
you'll
out
give
of
me
you?
your
second place
Is this the
speech
David
tomorrow?
Michigan coming out of you, Dave?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd never met him
here's
face to
what-
I can see
face.
your cape.
He just texts me sometimes.
Okay. Hold on.
Hurry up.
Shut up. I want my nice.
Are you
I'll
gonna
give my
play
speech
play
tomorrow.
the clown music like
I
you
want
did
my
for me,
theme
or-
music.
Oh, I
we
forgot
ready?
about
Circus
that. You ready
All
for
right,
theme
y'all ready
music?
for this? What? Yeah. Look, my brother came up here
Oh,
3 times, talking trash, mad trash. Like he's really about it. He said he'd never lose another month.
I did say that.
Well, hold on, you dropped this, and now I'm the king. 15 units.
Looks great on you.
That's a pretty good apartment
Looks
complex, if
great.
you ask me.
It's great on.
Maybe even 15 different VRBOs. Maybe you change your financial situation. Maybe you get out of your parents' garage. But you download DraftKings Sportsbook app and use our code BOOSTER, and you can maybe be a champion like me. 6'7"? No, I'm not. 6'4"? No, I'm not.
Appreciate that.
6'2"? Every bit of that. And best believe, I'm here to stay, because it's only getting started. The Booster Club, my army. And as your king, I just have one thing to say. You guys can suck it. 'Cause I won the month. There it is. There's our speech.
I'll give my speech tomorrow.
No.
Kellen, you're not gonna play the music. You're just gonna play music. While I go.
God, dude, I should.
no, music, hold on.
I feel like that music should be playing the whole time, just while I'm always talking.
Just play some music when I go, huh? The disrespect.
You're on audio right now. You got no idea.
The
Doesn't make you
disrespect.
uncomfortable?
No, I'm fine.
Make you uncomfortable?
Champions adjust. I'll give my speech tomorrow. I'll give my speech
All
tomorrow.
right, here's what I got today. After a weekend of keeping it exactly steady, here's what I got. I've bet against South Alabama, my alma mater, the last 2 days.
Working
All
out.
right? They have now made it to the Sun Belt Conference Championship game, which means if they win, we're going to the tournament, fellas. All right? So I'm going to pick against them today.
There we go.
Nothing would upset me more than
If
to
you
pick them and then they lose.
So who are they playing?
Lafayette.
There you go.
And not the University of Louisiana. Y'all can call it Matt Miguez. Y'all can call it whatever y'all want in y'all's little own fantasy land. You're ULL to me, damn it, and you'll always be that. So give me ULL, the University of Louisiana, Lafayette, right next to SCLSU. Money line, minus 110. Then a parlay they never saw coming. Man, this sounds like a Lord of the Rings character parlay. Give me Montana, St. Mary's, the Zags, and Hofstra. All to win, plus 218, guys. Those are my two bets. What do you guys got?
SGP here. I want Gonzaga minus 4.5 at home, plus the over 155.5 total points in the game. That's minus 105. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the Predators money line on the road, minus 110. Figure it out.
All right, this is what I have. First of all, I'm going to pull up Michael Jordan, and I'm going to take that speech you just had personally. And after this day of betting,
You should, because you're like negative 80 units.
Around. Yeah. Well, give me the Flames money line. All right, plus 110. I'm like 0-14 my last hockey bets. I'm going to keep chopping wood. All right, and then give me the Canucks.
The Canucks?
Minus 1.5.
Aren't they playing the Preds?
Yeah.
Canuck?
Okay.
I'm not a fan of Predators, but I'm glad you are.
There's nothing you can say back against that.
Come here and have a seat. All right, Baby Cone. He wants to take the Stars money line minus 130 and the Sabres money line plus 125. Speaking of that, all right, I know. Let's hit the poll real quick.
Okay. Who is the UFC GOAT? All right, I even put the GOAT, like as the GOAT as the.
All right, who did you list?
John Jones.
Okay.
Or the Field.
I'm going to say the Field, 56%.
The Field, 55%.
The Field, 42%. John Jones,
Like Johnny
58%. He's the GOAT.
People are just scared about John Jones finding out and coming and finding him.
He's the
I'm
GOAT.
going to say this before we leave today. I was listening to Rogan the other day, and did you hear the dude he had on that said they're reintroducing woolly mammoths and like saber-toothed tigers and stuff like that?
What do you mean reintroducing?
So they have found a way to make mammoths like that were extinct. We are putting extinct animals back. We know how to do it now.
Well, hold on.
Yeah,
Extinct animals.
Swear to God. Woolly mammoth, saber-toothed tiger, the thyracine, whatever they call it, they're making all of them.
Like
2024,
artificially?
we're like, no, so apparently a mammoth is like an Indian elephant and another elephant, or like something to create a mammoth. So they found the DNA to do it, and they mix it, and in 2024, we will have the first genetic woolly mammoth. Dog, you seen saber-toothed tigers?
I wonder what island.
Have you seen it? Why would we bring
island
those
they're
back?
doing that on.
Some animals should not be brought back.
Why are we doing this? Who's doing it?
Bro, Jurassic
Who's
Park,
doing
dog. It's Jurassic Park.
Wait,
dog.
so
they're
Jurassic
using
Park-
that CRISPR, whatever, Kimber.
Welcome to the island.
CRISPR?
CRISPR? Yeah, CRISPR. They're
Crispy?
using that. Krispy Kreme. They're using that
CRISPR, yeah.
to do saber-toothed tigers. Y'all, have you ever
Who's
seen
doing
a
it, though?
picture?
Is it like a
Who
privately?
do you think is that short, fat, white guy looks like Colonel Sanders? Is one who got the staff with the
Talking about-
mosquito in it?
Talking about from Jurassic Park?
Yes.
Wait, so it's like privately funded? Or is
Yes.
it-
No, they're putting them in Siberia.
Oh, okay, cool.
They're not putting them in Nashville. You're not going to walk outside and have to dodge a saber-toothed tiger going to work.
Yet.
No, look, I'm with you.
Have you seen any movie ever?
Yeah.
Like,
you know who Chris Pratt
bad
is?
stuff
They
happens.
said that saber-toothed tigers' teeth are so sensitive, they can find the jugular vein on whatever animal.
I hope they're not sensitive to
They
an
told you that?
AK-47.
Huh?
They told you that?
The saber-toothed tigers did? Yeah.
Yeah.
It came to me in a dream.
They're going to be awfully sensitive.
Yeah.
Anyway, Booster Club, real quick. What do they think about the saber-toothed tigers?
RNAK, hey, Nordo says, can't wait for Jurassic Park.
Again,
and
why?
Cody WV says, finally a Sabras bet. I love that. Stephen Moore says, they got to eat too.
No, they don't.
Not
They're
me.
extinct. Like, why don't, again, we should bring some animals back. Just like if we could bring people back. You only bring some people back. You don't want to bring all the people back because there's some bad people, okay?
Is this government funded? Or is it privately funded? That's
Gain
what I
of
want.
function, son.
Gain of function.
Who do you think all this money Ukraine's going?
Yeah, it's going to the saber.
For tanks? Yeah, right. We're sending saber-tooth tigers.
That's exactly right. You want to imagine that. You think it's scary seeing a bunch of tanks rolling through the Ardennes? What about just a pack of saber-toothed tigers just By the way, I got to say one more thing, and I probably should save it for a cold open. Y'all see that picture of that giant snake? Like they found in Vietnam during the Vietnam War or whatever when they were going over the top. They took a picture of it.
Mm-mm.
I'm going to wrap in a second. Y'all need to hear this. 100 foot. 100 foot anaconda. Imagine that. It snapped at the helicopter.
No.
Okay.
100 foot.
100 foot. 100 foot. You want to talk about nuclear bomb? You want to talk about the time to use it?
Did it get the helicopter?
No, so it was that like this friend. It was like during like Vietnam or like the Korean War or something. They're going over somewhere. I think it was in the Congo or something like that. I'm not a the Congo. All right, 100 foot snake. They drove over it or flew over it 3 times.
Let me ask you this: what's scarier, 100 foot snake or a 45 foot alligator?
100 foot snake. I mean, those are both.
I heard 300 alligator.
A 45 foot long alligator.
There's only one I know.
And there's it's like 20 feet wide.
I heard it was 300 feet.
To be honest with you, I heard there's a 100 foot saber-toothed tiger out there running around. Imagine that. It's turned into Narnia.
No, it's turned
We're
into
gonna start riding
Rampage
polar bears
movie.
around.
Like The Rock's gonna have to quit the XFL to come save us from these huge crocodiles. But you could save us from these huge crocodiles as well. You subscribe, follow us on all social media platforms. Shout out to Eric Herschmann for coming on. There's some great stuff. Got a great week of shows. Appreciate everybody calling in. Make sure you go sign up for the Daily Wire and go to IHateHershey's.com because you need to know which kind of chocolate's the best. We already do. It's Jeremy's chocolate. And like the chances of Hershey's being the dominant chocolate bar anymore, we're gone.